Welcome to the Men of the Times podcast with your illustrious hosts. I am Justin,
And I'm T.
and tonight we are talking about a school board video of a parent coming out and talking about the crazy stuff they're doing in schools around trans rights and trans kids and who's trans and all that. So that's what we're talking about. Just, you know what? I applaud parents who are coming out and coming to these school board meetings and talking out about the stuff. I mean, I've even talked with my girlfriend about, you know, when we have kids, what are we gonna? I mean, we live in Chicago. It's got to be worse than even this area that we're about to watch. And
Yeah.
I'm really afraid. And if you're a parent with children, we'd love to hear from you what
Yes.
you've been dealing with in actual school district environments. If you're seeing similar things, we're gonna watch this video and we're gonna react to it because I think it's a broader conversation we all need to be having.
Yeah.
And people need to know that there are parents out there doing this, and we all need to get behind these parents.
Yes.
And if you're wanting to be a parent one day, or if you're about to be a parent, or if you have a small child, like you, newborn of any kind, like this is stuff you need to know about because and you need to be like this guy that we're about to watch because, um, this is something that means a lot to me for a lot of reasons. But this is the future of America,
Yeah.
and this is one of the ways that I really believe let's call it a spade a spade. The leftists are attacking the country,
Yes.
trying to uh, put out their ideology and ruin kids' lives.
Yep.
Really, is what that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But we'd love to hear from you right off the bat. If please leave a comment, let us know your story. If you've gone through something similar or you've seen something or whatever, we'd love to hear from you and let us know your thoughts. But before we
One.
get into the video, any initial thoughts on this?
I would like to start using the appropriate language and calling a spade a spade.
Mm.
These leftists, they're Marxists, and this is
No,
a
they're
new.
postmodernist Marxists.
They
Thank
are.
you,
They
Jordan
let's
Peterson.
just start. Let's start using the phrase, right. A lot of people are very shy to do so, but these are Marxists, and this is another brand of theory, whether it's critical race theory or gender queer theory. But they are starting on the sly to really push on children, and it's damaging. It's damaging. These are children. These are the most vulnerable among us. They do not have the emotional wherewithal to be making these kind of decisions. And frankly, they this is not the job of a teacher. Okay, this has come a long way past the days when I was a youngster, and
That was a long time ago.
yeah, I remember once. I remember once that we had a teacher who, if memory serves me correct, was having a little bit of a breakdown because her marriage is breaking up. And my mother at the time said that is not an appropriate thing for teachers to be saying publicly to their children. My point is that it's now developed way past that, and teachers are now discussing things like sexuality, transsexuality,
How
uh,
they identify.
and how they identify.
Also, you keep like I don't know if you haven't heard of Libs of TikTok, go check it out because it's hilarious. I also just don't understand the thinking. If you're a teacher who's into this stuff, why why in the world do you keep posting videos
Because they think they can.
on
They think they
TikTok and stuff
can.
talking about what you're
Yes.
doing in the classroom? Like,
Yes.
at least I hate to give away divulge secrets here, but maybe don't do that.
But
Like,
but that's the point
that's the
is
easiest way you're gonna end up getting fired, and
but
many teachers have after they've posted this stuff
but
because
you have
parents are like, "What the fuck?"
but that's the point. They felt they could. They felt that they have enough
I think there's
control
enough
of the
evidence to show
culture.
they shouldn't be doing it because you're
Well,
gonna get
I
fired.
know, but my point being is the fact that they had the balls to do it in the first place shows that they were pretty much arrogant enough to think that there would be no ramification for it.
And by the way, quick disclaimer here: like, if you're a trans person,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I don't care.
No,
Like, live your
no,
life.
we don't.
You deserve all the freedoms and stuff
Absolutely,
that any citizen. And if that's
absolutely.
your choice, and you're an adult
Yes,
making that choice, more power to you, boo boo.
absolutely,
You do you, boo boo. I
absolutely.
really don't care. I want you. I care about very little in life as it is. Like, I definitely don't give a shit about your life,
Yeah,
honestly.
I've got enough
And
on
not
my
like I
plate.
don't give a shit about your life. I mean, like, I don't really care what you decide to do with your life.
Yes.
Like, go do what you want to do. Like, go hike a mountain and wear a dress. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, I just go be the best you that you think you
Mhm,
should be and
mhm.
enjoy yourself. That's what I mean.
Absolutely,
Like,
it's
I
your
don't.
life.
There's so many other more important issues than to worry about what. That's why I was always like, you know, when the Republican Party was so against gay marriage, I was like, really? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many.
This is
Who
not the tree. This is not the
cares?
hill to die on.
Who?
This is
Yeah,
not the hill to die on.
this is not
Yeah.
gonna like all this stuff was just it's just stupid. So same thing with trans people. Like, if and here's the other thing: there are so many bloody people in the world. There's gonna be folks who will be trans and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
the law of averages. Not everybody's gonna. And it's like it's totally fine.
The point
I don't
is
care. Do your thing.
yes.
But the big thing is now when you're trying to manipulate children
That's
or
a line. That's
help
a line.
children
That's a
discover their
line.
identity before they've fully formulated their thoughts as an adult. The brain doesn't even fully develop until you're 25,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you want children to be making like children can barely decide if they want mac and cheese and chicken nuggets
Yep.
and for dinner, and you're gonna entrust them with one of the most important decisions of their very lives. It is absolutely bonkers to me that that is something that people are totally comfortable with. And you know why? It's because nobody wants to get canceled because the people with the big megaphones are the trans community. It's like what's flabbergasting to me. It's like the trans. I feel like the trans folks are exactly like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Like, we just want to be left alone, and yet they won't shut the fuck up
Yeah.
about their rights. Like, I remember seeing people on the streets of Chicago asking me about gay rights. Like, hey, do you have a minute for gay rights? And I was like, why? What more? Like, you just got marriage equality. Like, what else? What more?
What more do you need?
What more? There are pride parades. You have your own
Yeah, and
bars.
pride parades are
Like,
really
what?
fun, by the way.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I just confused. So it's like I think America is fairly tolerant at this point. Where it's like most
There
people don't
there
care.
is there
There are
is
some
there is
yokels for sure, but
there is no better place to be gay or
don't go to
transsexual
Saudi Arabia.
than the United States of America. There is no better,
Don't go to Africa.
and it's great. Well, it's great that
Don't go to Eastern Europe.
it's great you point that out because in Uganda, for example, they just
Thailand, maybe.
passed the law
Lady boys.
banning homosexuality.
Who did?
Uganda.
Like I said, don't go to freaking
But
Africa. They
that's
definitely you will die.
there is no better country to be gay or
Maybe Canada.
transsexual
Maybe Canada.
than the United States and the United
Canada.
Kingdom and Canada,
Canada.
Australia.
Yeah.
So
It's like
the core countries of the West. There is no better country. There is no better
Yeah.
countries.
So anyway, this is I want to get into this video because it's really interesting. I found it riveting because this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll put the video up, but this is just one example of many examples of parents standing up and voicing their concern to people who are elected, who are then hiring these people. And you're going to hear in this video some shocking details that this parent comes up with. And by the way, this parent doesn't even have children currently in the school district. He'll say that his boys they're coming to an age where they're going to be going into these schools, and he's concerned. And I wanted to highlight this because I think everybody else should be concerned about it. We need to know what's going on. People
Yes.
continually say, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, this shit isn't happening." It's like it's definitely happening. It's definitely a big deal. This is an attack on
Yeah, but
the American youth.
the left always
You
says
think they're doing this shit in China? Are you bloody kidding me right now?
the left. But that's the thing. The Marxist left always says this. They say it's not happening, but it's good that it is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
is. It's one of those like
It's like,
really.
huh?
It's like those really obscene double logics that they just
Define
throw at you.
define a woman. Well, anybody who identifies as woman. Yes, but what is that?
But yeah,
Right?
what
It's like
is that?
the Matt Walsh documentary
Yes.
situation. What is
Brilliant
it?
documentary,
I
by the
can't
way.
define it, but I want to be it. Well, that is like already a logical fallacy. You can't do that. That's You're literally defying logic, which is what gives humanity its some of its greatest power. Our ability to do reason and logic and our ability to tell stories. These are two of the two most important things that we developed as a species, and all you're doing is giving us the story part without the logic. And a boy can be a girl. Sure, when they're 5. Yeah, hey, boy.
No,
And
no.
then it's like, well, my friend, you have a penis. So I uh
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't care
I've
where you put it as long as you're careful.
But the thing is, these things have filtered into every corner of a society now. I was on the CTA the other day, and I saw this advert for one of the hospitals around here, and it said, "People who menstruate." Do you mean women?
Yeah, I think it's in Vermont. My girlfriend was telling me earlier today, Vermont just came out where they are, and this is in a private school. They have changed. They don't use boy, girl, male, female anymore. It is a person who produces sperm, person who
I
produces
was just
egg.
about yes, yes, yes. I was saying, yeah,
Now let me
I
tell you
heard about
something.
this
Let
as
me tell you
well.
something right now.
People who produce sperm, a man. I am one. I produce sperm, therefore I am a man. It's
And let me okay,
you know,
word to the
what?
wise. I don't have children, but if you do have children, if anybody is watching this, if you hear about this happening at your school, you should pull your kids out immediately.
Yes.
Unless you
Yeah.
agree with that, then I guess you'll leave them in there. But I would question you as a parent at that point.
Mhm.
And yeah. So anyway, I want to let's get into the video because it's really I watched it several times, and I applaud this man for doing what he did. Also, not only that, but listen, it's interesting to see how they argue with him. It's just interesting. Let's watch it.
Hello, board. Thank you for letting me speak here today. I'm here to talk as a parent. I've got two young boys. We live in Glendale, and when they come of age, I am deeply concerned about their educational prospects in this city. I'm also a taxpayer. I pay a lot of taxes in this city, many of which go to this district. And I'm deeply concerned about how that money is being spent, particularly, and I'm going to single out a person at the in the school district named Dr. Kelly King, who's sitting right here to my left. Dr. Kelly King makes over $250,000 a year. Every 4 years, we give her $1 million. We will be paying for her pension for the duration of her life after she retires, and she's doing things that I completely disagree with, and I think many members of the community would also disagree with. Previous speakers have mentioned the number of Armenians who live in Glendale. How many Armenians would support what she does? Let me discuss what she's doing. In a recent video in 2017, she reflected Glendale Unified policy when she stated, and I'm going to quote, "We have a lot of resistance from male coaches who are horrified at the thought of having a biological girl changing clothes in front of them." Which biological girls are changing clothes in front of coaches in Glendale Unified? That's a question I'm genuinely asking. She continued, "It's not a girl. It's not a girl. It's not a girl. You only have boys in the boys' locker room." She just said it was a biological girl.
May I just stop
I'm
for
Okay, stop here for a minute. So already some very interesting things. One, I don't know if people know this, but so I have friends who are Armenian. Some of my very good friends. It's interesting he brought up the Armenians because they are very traditional people,
Yeah.
very Christian.
Yeah.
And he's like almost appealing to them, like, "Yo, we got to get." And they're also tough, by the way. If you know Armenians, they've gone through some shit.
Yes.
They are a tough people,
People.
and I'm happy to have two friends who are Armenian. They're really great dudes and tough. One guy looks like Goliath, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I won't name his name, but yeah, he's a cool dude. Anyway, that was one thing I found interesting. But what was more interesting is This is legitimately, this is how much these people are getting paid.
I was stunned by
250
that.
well,
Two
super
hundred and fifty grand to do what?
well, you'll hear here in a minute that she's a superintendent. So superintendents technically they're like the head of school districts typically. So
So that Superintendent Chalmers and Principal Skinner in The
right,
Simpsons.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's the situation there. My mom is in the education system, so I know a little bit about this. But the other big thing, not only just how much money these people make, okay? The other big thing is what he's referencing here is a quote where I mean, it's literally like the irony that these people talk with is just unreal. I literally he has stated this person mentions biological girl and then continues to say anybody in the boys locker room is a boy. It's a boy, it's a boy, it's a boy.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think you passed kindergarten because just because you exist in a place doesn't mean you are the thing that that place is supposed to have in it. There are plenty. You could be a girl in a boys' locker room.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah.
And some naughty individuals, some naughty naughties, you get in there and you do naughty things in those locker rooms, don't you? You naughty boys and girls. What are you doing in there? Hmm. And that is also one of the problems. But it's cool. Like these coaches, right? They're men.
Right.
They are men. And I don't know if this is a
They are
high school or a middle
disturbed.
school,
Yes.
but they're like, I don't want to be seeing a little girl
Yeah.
situations as they're changing because they're in there, right? Well, if it's a bunch, personally, I don't think coaches should be in the locker room with the, but particularly when you're older, or whatever, yeah, everybody just kind of changes and it's
Yeah.
whatever. At least it's the same. If you've been to,
We've all been to a gym.
we've all been to a gym, and there are some
Yes.
older gents that end up letting the boys loose, if you will. We've all we've all seen that old codger in the locker room where we go
Yeah.
whoa.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Then you have to do a double take because you're like, ah. And for me, it's like, oh God, I'm gonna look like that one day. It's like, oh,
and then the realization
the troubles
comes
are
in, it's like,
coming.
oh shit! Age catches up with us all.
Oh God. So yeah, but then it's like also the balls, pun intended, on these men to just let their balls hang out. It's like, do you have no shame, sir? And he's like, I'm 63. I have no shame anymore.
They've reached the age they literally do not give a
They
shit
don't care.
anymore.
They don't
No.
care. It's
You know
wonderful
what?
and glorious.
No, why would they? Why would they?
Yeah, it's like the Nick Svensson joke. I'm old. It's like they don't care. But anyway, these men, right? They don't want to be. But it's a different scenario when you have a biological girl. Hence why she said this, right?
Yeah.
And then there's different. Some of these things don't match with the others. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? And if you're also these men are probably dads themselves,
Yes.
right? So they're just like, this is somebody else's daughter, and I'm like getting a cardinal view, which is just creepy.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you
Yeah,
just
but that's
you on the inside
they resent being
you feel
put.
ick.
They resent being put in this situation, but and by a superintendent that is just denying reality. Another another piece of language that I noticed is, and the superintendent used the word "it" a lot. It for me, um,
Dehumanizing.
yes, it denotes the dehumanization of an individual. It denotes that um, they're neither male or female, and therefore they lack a humanity, and they end up just calling them an it, like there's a thing, a possession that can be manipulated or malleated, and it's no, that's a
Literally,
human
there's
being.
Biden just gave a speech where he quote I don't remember who it is, but the quote is again. You might even know who the person is when I say it. That there's no such thing as somebody else's child. It's everybody's child. It's the community's child. This
Oh,
is how.
this is that is classic Marxist thinking.
That's
That is
literally
because it
what this is. This is
Marx,
that's
yes,
what this is.
Marx wrote in the Communist Manifesto and in other writings that the one institution they had to destroy was the nuclear family, because your children don't belong to you, they belong to the state. That is how Marxists view children. And
You ever
whenever you listen to the left talk, even I remember there was one commercial for MSNBC where this contributor was talking about the community's children. No, these are your children. Okay? No one is more invested in a child than their parent. The state isn't going to give a shit. Okay? And that's the biggest clue that Marxists are behind this wave of thinking, because they are now getting to the point where they feel that they have the gall, the absolute gall, to talk to your child and to tell them that they don't even have to tell you, the parent, if this child is talking about sexuality or sex changes. Even California. You heard what California has done?
Yeah,
They've made
but tell
themselves
everybody else.
a sanctuary state for transsexual operations with minors. So minors can now go to California without even their parents' knowledge and get this surgery. I'm sorry, it's evil, and
Yeah, it's crazy.
it is
It's crazy.
it is direct. It is a direct example for me that Marxists are behind this, because Marx, one of his biggest aims was to destroy the nuclear family. So the children no longer belong to a
And
mummy and daddy;
you ever
they belong to the state.
you ever read the book The Giver?
No,
Well, you may not have gone to school in second grade in America, but
obviously not.
there's a great book called The Giver. I don't remember who wrote it. It was a Pulitzer Prize winning book, I believe. I read it as a child and I read it again as an adult. It's a great book. But there's basically just like it's like you literally get the society. It's not really the government, kind of the government, but the society, the government basically puts people together, even families. It's like these are your parents, and this is your sister, and we're gonna choose who you're gonna marry, and all this type of stuff. That's the world these people live in. You get decided upon where you are gonna work and all this stuff,
Yeah,
and the big thing is that they have things like birthing mothers and stuff like this. So there's just women who just birth children, and then
and then the state decides
the
where the
state
child
decides
goes.
where the child goes and all that stuff. And I mean, like this is kind of like that in the book. It's like they're trying to create it where, and we're gonna watch more and we're gonna hear more about this, because you're right. This is exactly what it is, and this guy brings it up. So let's continue listening to what this guy continues to talk about, and also see how they react to him is also very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't want to hear a word that this guy has to say.
Listen to how they argue against him. Let's watch.
For a
Speaking?
moment.
No,
and,
you're not. No, I'm speaking.
I
This is
will-
interrupting my time.
Well, we
Can I
can
pause
pause
this,
the
please?
time. Can you pause the time for a minute? I only want to say that to refrain from personal attacks. So please.
She is a government official. She's a government employee. This is not a personal attack. I pay her salary with my
So,
tax dollars.
Again, please talk towards the policies that you
I'm
are
talking about-
against,
and
and
if-
refrain from personal attacks, and your time will continue. Please go ahead.
In what way have I personally attacked Dr. King? She is acting within her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified. How is that a personal attack? I'm talking about tax dollars being used in a way that I disagree with. I'm going to continue.
Continue talking about the policy that you disagree with.
Dr. King quoted to say that biological girls were changing in front of male coaches. And then, so she knows it's a biological girl, and then proceeded to say it's not a girl 3 times. You know it's a girl. You know it's a girl. Or
Okay,
you know
so
it's a
she's
boy.
an
You know
employee
it's a
of
boy.
ours, and if you wouldn't mind telling us what policy you dislike.
There is why am I being interrupted for speaking about an official member, a superintendent at Glendale Unified, speaking in an official manner? You cannot interrupt me for that. You have no ability to do that. And furthermore, the rules stated you won't debate. You're debating me right now. Correct? I'm going to continue.
Can I say this is a cultural aspect of America that really fucking annoys me. This whole thing that Americans have about decorum. Like you see this in American Congress and stuff. It's like, oh, your time, and then they pause and it's like, you can't personal attack. Like, no, you obviously you hate each other. Fucking have at it. Like, this is what I really prefer about the English parliamentary system. They're all having a go. Ever seen a parliament session? It's "Whey!" And where you watch Americans and they're like, decorum, decorum. This is a major part of why this shit is getting infested in America. This idea of decorum and American polite society. It is weakening you to to accept like obvious evil because it's presented nicely, and we all have to be in decorum. No, no, that's just my.
Maybe you guys are just more piss drunk when you argue with one
Well,
another.
there is that too.
Yeah, I think maybe you should take a lesson from us, the adults.
In discussing permanent records, she states that she keeps permanent records for a handful of trans students literally next to her in her room. She does not indicate that person's gender identity for fear that the parent might find out. Why is she concealing this from parents? She says, we kind of go out on a limb, and we know that's controversial to some people. Which people? Which parents? Armenian parents? Christian parents? Are those the ones who are being excluded from knowledge on their own children and their own identity in Glendale's Unified School District? And you preach inclusive policies. We can talk about that policy. Yet she's excluding parents.
So
She's
again,
excluding parents. I'm going to continue.
And I might just ask for a pause and ask for information. Maybe I'm mistaken. Can you pause the time for a moment, Mr. Sahakyan? Thanks. So I wouldn't mind getting input in terms of is this.
So my understanding, again, is that we are the arbiters of policy. That is our decision. And so our employees are operating based off of our direction and the direction up here at the dais. So it is appropriate to criticize the policy. It is appropriate to question that. It is not appropriate to personally attack and denigrate a specific employee. I do not believe that that is covered under the public comment.
I'm not personally attacking anybody.
Yes, you are, sir.
No, ma'am, I am not. I am not personally attacking her. I disagree with what she said in her role as assistant
So
superintendent.
then you disagree with the policy, so please continue with the disagreement of the policy.
I mean, this is exactly how they argue, right? Is they say it's a personal attack when it's all he's doing is naming the person who's a government official and a government acting and speaking in a government capacity, and then they admit themselves that they're the ones who created the
Set the
policy.
policy.
So they're all culpable in this. This is
Yes.
happening in school districts all over the
The
country,
country.
particularly if you're in a democratic state or in a major urban area. You should definitely, as a parent or a soon-to-be parent, be paying attention to where your children might be going to school, because these people are just letting this shit happen, and it's just mind-boggling to me. Like, I just don't understand. Man, I do understand the empathic viewpoints they're doing, but they're also creating the issue where there was none. There's a massive rise in trans kids and everything.
Yeah.
It
And
didn't. It wasn't. It wasn't a thing, and now it's a
Yeah.
thing. And
Apparently,
now they're like, we need to be cool with this
20
thing. It's like, but there wasn't a thing. Why is there a thing now?
yeah.
It's like, what? How did this just all?
And what's really interesting is also how this is breaking down by like racial and ethnic demographic. Predominantly Black and Hispanic kids are not doing this. It's predominantly
Probably getting hit.
it's
We all
predominant.
know about this.
It's predominantly white, upper class, urban, rich liberals who are pushing this shit on their kids.
I mean,
And
I'd be interested to
it's
see the data. I don't have the data in front to do that. At one point in our show, we'll have all the computer data up. We'll be like
yes,
all that will be.
absolutely.
I can see by the MIT research report here that
We don't have that yet, but yeah, it's just
This
hilarious the way they're arguing. Well, this is a personal attack. It's
yeah,
like,
but
it's not. It's not.
But not on. But
not.
going back to what I said earlier, they're also using this American need and want to be polite and to act in decorum and to be
Well, because
liked.
if you're perceived to be the polite one, then the meaning is, well, we have the upper hand. You're the one being unruly. We don't have to
Yes.
listen to you.
Yes.
It's like when you're on the phone with customer service and you get really mad because of something, and then they stop talking to you because you say fuck. They're like,
Well, sir, you are being very outrageous. We don't have to deal with you.
But you're being
like,
a dick and won't give me the fucking refund, bitch. Give me my money. Like, I hate.
It's my money and I want it now.
I hate this decorum fucking bullshit. It just riddles an American society. Hey, decorum. Fuck off. There is right and there is wrong. This is very certainly not fucking right, is it? So therefore, I will say it. I mean, the decorum. Fuck your decorum. Fuck your
The
decorum.
funny thing is, most people don't even know what the word means.
No, but it's
They
just
just
like,
scream it.
oh,
Nobody knows what it
sound
means.
nice.
I heard it on a movie
Fuck
once.
that. I'm sorry. I don't care how many nice ways you put it. Cut the dick off fucking Teddy when he's 13 is not fucking right. Okay? Decorum. Cutting the fucking titties off Annie when she's 12 or 15 is not fucking right. Is it? We all know it. And fuck your decorum. I am going to say it.
Oh my god, I love that rant.
Sorry.
Oh, calm the fuck down,
Like,
T.
just like God.
Calm it
fucking
down, sir.
weak decorum.
Where is your
bullshit.
decorum,
The
sir?
weak fucking decorum.
Where's your
pussy
decorum?
bullshit. All right. Okay. Let's
Half those words we probably can't even keep in them.
All right. Now, talking about.
Let's watch the rest
I
of this.
know.
I am disagreeing with her, and this is not. You are debating me right now. You said you would not debate me. Why are you debating me?
So you're using that particular thing inappropriately, the fact that we don't debate. So
I am not
please,
attacking her personally. This is under her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified. You are not allowing me to speak freely in a government entity about a government employee. I pay her taxes. I have every right to speak about her in particular within her role. I'm not talking about where she lives, what she looks like, anything like that. Nothing personal. This is purely professional, and this is purely governmental. Can I continue?
So we're the government, and you can't fucking criticize us in our jobs. Otherwise, we'll say that you're lacking decorum.
Well, by
and
arguing
being personal.
Well, by arguing the policy, also,
you have
you
to argue them. But
by arguing. So what they're doing in a debate way, which is funny. Like, well, you're taking out of context what we mean by we're not. You are debating. It's not like you're arguing with his point, but you're arguing with how he's doing it. It's still a form of debate, which is hilarious. They don't even know what that means. Well, the other big thing that they're doing is if you take the person away from the subject, you can still maintain the person in the role, and you take the people who are acting out the policies away from the policy because they're the ones who set the policy. So they're just like, yeah, you can argue with the policy, but don't name our confidants or acting out on it so that other people can put pressure on us to get rid of the person, right? If it's just the policy, they can be like, well, we're going to keep the policy. But then you don't know who's it. So it's an interesting way to try and take out the human element of the situation and keep it very much on the topic at hand. Nothing about what he's doing is ad hominem at all. Because again, this is a government employee from the school board that's talking through this or saying these comments. It's just like being a public figure. You're a public figure. When you say stuff in an official capacity as a public figure, you're fair game.
Yeah.
You're fair game. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. You can't be out there saying outlandish things as a public official and then just be like, "Oh, well, you can't come after me." It's like that's not how the rules work, man. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to protect this person.
She's saying
and there's big reasons we're going to find out why, but they're trying to protect her so that she can continue doing the work that they probably want her to be doing. If they don't know who the culprit is, just shit's happening. So like, we'll stop the shit. Well, we'll think about it. It's kind of how it is. But then if you're like, oh yeah, We don't know. Okay, fine. We'll stop doing that. But then they don't know who the person is that's actually doing it. They can continue to do it because it's just a shadowy figure who's doing stuff. And if nobody ever knows who the person is and shit's still happening, they go, well, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah.
But when you name the person, now you know the actor who is doing the actions, and you can call out for that person's removal, and then also attack the policy, so you get all of it removed. But even if you just remove the quote unquote policy, it doesn't mean that the actions can't occur with the infiltrator actor who's doing it. They'll just do it
So they're basically
surreptitiously.
playing like an administrative shell game where they kind of filter around between different
Yeah,
decisions.
that's the whole point of the whole point of this line of argument from them. We'll just argue the policy, sir, please. Let's argue the policy.
But don't insult me, even though
Don't-
I say
don't
it's
name-
okay for a little girl to be in a fucking changing room with boys.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's
shit. It's interesting.
This is it's just gross.
It's
I'm
important.
sorry.
It's important in case you.
It's gross.
If you look into this, is a great example of what this guy's doing of how you stand up for yourself. Also in
Absolutely.
these scenarios, it's really well done
Top
what he's
job.
doing.
Well done, mate. Well
Now
done.
let's see. It gets better. It gets better.
Try to keep it
I've
professional.
already told you what I'm doing, and I'm making that very clear, and I'm not going to change.
Keep it professional.
I have not. I have only kept this professional. You are debating me, and you are violating your own rules.
So,
You are
Mr.
violating your own
Sahakian,
rules.
go ahead and open the time again.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kelly King has worked with Gender Spectrum, an organization which you guys have actually paid money to in several schools. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. She's worked with Gender Spectrum to produce gender support plans. In these gender support plans, she ranks parents whether on how affirming they are on a scale of 0 to 10. Who determines that? Based on what criteria? I'd love to know that policy. She says, if the parent's not affirming, the parent may not be involved in this document. That's the gender support plan. This may be a private conversation. So let's talk personal now, because she is. This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school. Is that adult trusted by the parent? Who is the trusted adult? Define trust, please. This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school and the student about how we keep you safe at home, emotionally and physically. Who's personal? Who's professional? Personally, I'm being professional.
This is exactly what they used to do in places like the Soviet Union. Turn children against their parents.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to protect you as a trusted teacher, and don't listen to your parents because they're not really going to have your best interests at heart. We're
Yes.
going to keep you safe so that you
Yes.
can be exactly how we want you. You're on a good point
Yes.
now.
In fact, this
Like,
is
are you hearing this shit?
yes. This is basic. Yes, this is how the Soviet Union would use children to spy on their parents. This is the first iteration of it in the United States. This is insane.
Yo,
This is
they-
insane.
You can't. They're rating parents. You can't be involved at all in the decision making, like at all. If you're
That's not
if you're
the- that's
not
not
if
the
you're not for it, then well, we'll just cut you out of the whole process. So that
Yes.
we can do what we want with your child. That is fucking insane. That is insane.
I'm sorry, that's not just insane to me. That's evil.
Yeah,
That
it's also evil.
That is evil.
It is evil. And these people are totally complicit and totally okay with all this. They're defending it. They are trying to defend it, but they know they really can't. So it's just really interesting how, I mean, you really, man, people really need to. There's just so many ignorant people that just don't know that this stuff is happening, or don't believe that it's happening, don't want to believe that it's happening,
Or
but
just
it
don't
is
care.
happening.
Or just don't
Or
care because
don't care.
it doesn't affect them
Right, it
right
doesn't
now.
affect you. You think like, oh yeah, kids should just be able to do whatever. It's like you have to see the people who are doing. You have to listen to these words. That's why they don't want the person and the words attached to the person. If it's
Yeah.
just words, it's like, oh yeah, we can all agree that's a terrible quote. We should get that person, whoever that person is. It's like, who is that person? We should find them, and then nobody goes and finds them. But when you associate the words with an actual person saying it, particularly when it's a high-ranking official, assistant superintendent is like number 2 in a school district. It's
Wow.
superintendent and then assistant superintendent, and then there are principals for the various different schools. This is like, the assistant vice president or the vice president to the president, basically, in a school district scenario.
So wait, she's the one who's setting this policy.
No, she's not setting the policy. She's doing all these actions, these gender support plans. It's also interesting the gender spectrum. She worked with it, and then the school district bought from there. It's true. That is a massive
So she
conflict of
went.
interest. It's probably illegal.
So she went from this organization, Gender Spectrum, to working as an assistant superintendent for a school.
And then the school district bought services from it.
Oh, that sounds ethical.
It's not. That's the whole.
Of
point.
course. Well, no, I was being
But
sarcastic. But
here's the thing:
of
if
course,
you're a parent, and most parents, like, you're working a job, you don't know that you don't know what's going on, and these people are able
Yeah.
to get away with this shit because people don't
honestly-
investigate. Look, you have to do it now as a parent.
Yes.
You really have to know where you're sending your kids to school, and you have to look into who's the principal and who's behind all of it. It's particularly in public schools. I mean, you have at least some voice, and if you're sending your kids to private school, you definitely have even more of a voice because you're, like, paying money. So, like the example in Vermont, I would say, like, I'm not paying you, and I'm pulling my kid. Good day.
yeah,
I said good day, sir. But in this scenario, if this is a public system, you have to vote these people out who are setting the policy.
yes,
And then those correct individuals then have to get rid of these hoo-has who are doing this stuff. It's insane. They have a gender-affirming document to help the kid transition, and they will not involve the parent if they're not affirming enough.
Okay,
That is wild.
can I just say that how appalling I find that phrase, gender affirming. The whole point of things like so that for me says the connotation of a therapeutic aspect. Therapy is not about affirming anything. It's about helping you deal with your problems, right? Not just to go along whatever your thought is that day and say, "Oh yeah, that's great. Oh, you're having visions of killing yourself. I'll just affirm you in your suicidation." No.
I don't think that's a word, but okay.
Well,
But yes, that's not generally the point of that. But that's what they want,
yes.
and because it helps their broader agenda for what they're trying to do,
and
and this inclusivity.
and the point is but
How inclusive is it if you tell a kid, "Hey, it's cool to be this"? Then they say, "Okay, cool, I'll get attention," which is really what kids want, is
Of
attention.
course.
They go, "Okay, I am that thing."
And they want to fit in.
These people are creating the thing that isn't a thing.
Yes.
They're creating the thing. There's a lot of stuff going on, like, grooming and everything. You can believe that if you want. I'm just saying there was no problem with this ever, like, ever.
Until about
And
5 years ago.
And now it's a thing.
Yes.
It's like there's a reason for that. And if you're a parent, you have to wake up and get involved. The problem is most people don't. And then when their kids come home, right? Because then that's what they're saying. Oh, this parent's not going to be gender affirming enough because probably the parent is busy or whatever. Like maybe they don't even know if the parent would be or not. So they're gonna have secret side conversations with your kids to influence them to do something that literally would alter the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, the trans community, trans people still have the highest suicide rate pre and post operations, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So
read those
regardless,
statistics
these
as
people
well.
are literally putting your kids on a potential path towards suicide. That is not an unfair thing to say based on the data that is out there already, which is why also they keep promoting all this inclusivity stuff because they're like, we got to bring it down. It's like, hey, maybe we should give these people the right help, or hey, maybe we shouldn't promote people to join a lifestyle where half of them kill themselves.
Or hey, maybe we should.
I don't know. Seems logical to me.
Or hey, maybe we shouldn't be fighting against reality.
All of those things are valid. All of those things are valid things to say. Just like there's just so much common sense that goes on, and
The thing
and
is-
everybody, you see all these parents who help their kids do this. It's like you're not cool. Nobody thinks you're cool. Stop putting TikToks out there about how gender affirming of a parent you are. Nobody gives a fuck. If anything, most people think you're a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
That you're doing this to your
Most
own
normal
kid.
people.
Like, why did you even have kids? It's just, it's like I'm
and
not a parent
this
yet, and I
and
hope to
I'm
be one day,
no,
but it's just
yeah.
like, what is
Honestly,
wrong
though,
with people?
this makes
You
me
care more about your reputation than the life
of
of
your
your
own
kid.
child.
It's
This
mind-boggling.
makes me scared to be one, because the fact of the matter is, like, as parents, you have to be mindful. You have to be on top of this. I know it's a lot of work, and
It's tough.
they're relying on. I know that life is
It's a
complicated.
it's a it's a give and take. You have
Yeah,
to be involved, but they kinda have to know you're not involved. You don't wanna be a helicopter parent and let them know that you're involved with everything. You have to do it at a distance. It's not easy being a parent for sure, but
but
in this regard, you
you
have
have to
to
be on
be
top of it.
involved. You have to know.
But
I'm gonna
here's
vet every school
that
that
your
my
kids
children
go
might be
to.
going to before they
Yes,
go there.
yes. And here's the thing.
I'll be looking at the homework. I'll be investigating the teachers.
Here's the thing. They know how exhausting life is, and they are counting on you dropping out. That's why, frankly, honestly, we only started hearing about shit like this when COVID happened, because all the kids were at home, and the adults were actually
Yeah.
starting to pay attention to what was happening to their kids in school and
Mhm.
what they were actually
Well,
learning.
you could hear what the teachers. That's why I'm saying all these teachers keep putting out these TikTok videos of, oh well, like there was a one that this lady just got. I just saw the TikTok maybe today. She's like, I used to have an American flag, and we were doing the Pledge of Allegiance, but then I lost the American flag. So now we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and one of my boys said, "Why are we doing the Pledge of Allegiance without the flag there?" I said, "Well, there's another flag, and what, of course, is the other flag?
The rainbow
The
flag.
fucking trans
Yeah.
rainbow LGBTQ flag." So now that she's got her entire classroom doing a Pledge of Allegiance to the LGBTQ flag. Like, if you don't think these people have a bloody agenda, you are fucking delusional. These people do this shit on purpose. She lost an American. You can't go buy another American flag. You can't tell your principal, "Hey, I lost my American flag. Do we have a spare?" There are so many things as a teacher you could do to make sure you have an American flag in your classroom. So when you do the Pledge of Allegiance, we're all doing it to the American flag. You actively chose not to, so that you could get your entire class and wait for the opportunity for a student to ask you, to give you legitimacy, to make sure the entire class then goes and does a pledge to the LGBTQ. It's just like, it's just, if you I don't know how anybody can argue against this. Again, we're all for, if you whatever you want to do as an adult, you live your life and you do your thing.
But
The
children
big
are
reason for
another
this,
thing.
the reason why everybody's so hot and emotional about this is because we're talking about young children,
Children.
and when you do these surgeries and you go down this path and everything, and you do it before a certain age, it can seriously
Ruin
mess
them.
up and ruin their lives, to the point where these kids get to like the age of 18, 19, and there's no going back, and they regret it. And that's a real thing that happens. Does it happen every time? No. But there's enough cases where it's like, is this really an experiment we want to continue doing? And this is an experiment.
Yes.
They're experimenting, just like well, I'm not gonna get into that, but this is an experiment. So, and is it a good experiment? And who are the people who are perpetrating the experiment? This is the whole thing, and this is what this guy is exposing. So let's finish it, because the ending is hot and heavy.
What she has done, and the policies none of you have spoken out against, is a complete deviation from that sacred boundary between government and personal lives and privacy, especially of minors. And we're talking about sexuality, sexual identity, and you're not going to divulge that to parents intentionally. And again, she makes over $250,000 a year. While 43%, only 43% of Glendale Unified high schoolers are proficient in math upon graduation. Only 65% are proficient in reading. And you pay that much money to institute those policies while you're failing, literally failing, to produce the adequate students for the 21st century. Thank you so much.
And next on the agenda, or next speaker is, and let's find out what the nuance is around speaking around naming public employees. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. I mean, just that I didn't even see that last bit. Last video I saw just cut off. They should you now they know that you know what they're gonna do now based
What?
off that. They're gonna change the bloody rules. So you literally can't name anybody moving forward. That's what they're gonna do. Can we get clarification on the rule there? And if it does say what he was saying, they'll likely change it. So then you can't even bring up people's name so they can protect the agents of the chaos they're trying to perpetrate. That is unbelievable. Also, the statistics he named off about the actual results. Math and reading are
Yes.
essential for people to actually succeed in life. And you know why they want to focus on gender stuff instead of math and reading? Because if you're literate and you can understand and you can think for yourself and you can do basic mathematics, which is important for knowing how to deal with currency, knowing how to do the right types of contracts when buying a home, things like this. These are the things that were supposed to be essential to life. But if you create a new population of people that don't know how to do all those basic things, those people become manipulated. So not only are they potentially reducing the population, telling kids you can be the other sex and have a surgery, and again, 50% of those people kill themselves. I'm pretty sure the data. That's the numbers I've heard. That's some of the numbers I've seen. It could potentially be fact checked on that, but that's what I remember hearing, and that's what I remember seeing in some of the reports and things I've read. It could maybe it's changed. And then also you're creating a bunch of, let's call it, dumb kids
Yes.
who will not know how to survive. So then what happens?
They
You
become more
turn to the
reliant.
government,
Yes.
and the government then tells them, "Here's what you do," and they're too stupid to know if what the government is telling them is accurate or good for them or not. And they won't care either, because if you're getting free shit, why do you care? You don't
Yeah.
have to go do anything. Less responsible people, less courageous people. This is the way you start dismantling a society from within. This is what they're trying to do. This is serious shit. And if you're a parent who has any salt to your name, or if you actually care about your kids, you have to keep going to these things. You have to keep exposing them. You have to keep videotaping and putting it out to the world. There's good to social media, there's bad to social media. This is good social media where you expose the stuff. Because people don't think this stuff is happening.
No, they
That's why I
don't.
wanted to talk about this. People don't. I literally have had people tell me this isn't happening. I'm like, are you
Are you blind?
willfully ignorant?
Are you? Yeah.
You're
That
being
too.
willfully ignorant, which, by the way, is exactly what these
They
people
want
are
you to
trying you to
be.
be.
Yes.
This is what they're producing. 43% proficiency in math in that school district.
65% proficiency
FYI,
in reading.
that's an F in the schooling world. That's an fucking F.
So F
Both
is
of them
proficient.
are Fs. You're letting kids leave school with Fs
F is
on your record.
proficient? F is proficient.
F is for fuck you is what F is for. You're fucking terrible at your job is what F is for. That's what it is. That is sickening. I'm sure that guy's gonna move. He's definitely not he's definitely not putting his kids there. But good on him for exposing these people.
Absolutely.
But again,
And they need to be exposed.
But again, they're gonna change the rule. That person's not gonna lose her job, and they're gonna continue. So if you're another parent in that district or whatever, that's what you're stuck with. You may not even know what's going on, and then you can hear parents like, "I don't understand why Jimmy is coming home and he's so moody and he won't talk to us and stuff." It's because these teachers are telling them to not bloody talk to you, particularly if they're going down this path. I'm not saying that's the case for every reason that teenagers and talking to teenagers and so on and so forth, but it could be an explanation. So it's worth investigating.
I'm
If your
sorry,
child
but
is not acting normally,
yes,
then
but
it's something to look into.
that's what they tell. That's what they tell people to look out for signs of abuse with children if they're not talking. You know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
what this
Exactly.
this is emotional, manipulative
Abuse
by these
of
teachers
minors.
against these kids.
Disguised as education
Yes, or diversity,
or
equity, and
inclusivity.
inclusion. This
It is mind-boggling,
and
it's
I'll be frank. I'll be frank. America, your education standards are frankly appalling. I feel truly blessed to have had an English education after living here for 10 years.
I mean, there's still enough people I don't know. I mean, that's one school district. Other school district, private schools, we're still producing
I've
enough
heard about
smart people.
15-year-olds who,
But you talk about the disparity. The disparity is going to become even greater
yeah,
from people who can afford to send their kids to private schools where they don't necessarily do this shit, particularly Christian Catholic institutions, other private institutions, not just Christian Catholic. I'm sure there's ones. Um, and like public schools, they're gonna just some kids in public schools will succeed and make it out okay, but the good majority and the disparity will become even greater. You're talking about middle class, rich versus poor, 1%, 99%, all these types of things. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse if this type of stuff continues. So many politicians and everything say the future is our children, the future is our children. You really need to listen to good old Sleepy Joe and some of the Democrats and what they're saying about the future and what they actually mean about the future. I'm serious. I'm not saying you need to vote Republican or anything like that, or that the Republicans are any better. But I'm just saying there is a serious situation happening right now in our country.
yes,
And this is a battleground right now. Like, it's crazy to say
Mhm.
this, but literally, schools are becoming a battleground for children. Where they're going to be, how they're going to think, are they going to go down this path or not? And if you don't agree with it, you're labeled
a big,
xenophobic, bigot, not inclusive, transphobic, all this stuff. And it's like crazy. So I really wanted to highlight this and talk about this and highlight this video when I saw it because I just thought it was brilliant by this parent who it doesn't even, his kids aren't even there. I hope, I would imagine he's definitely not putting them in the school system. I mean, if he does, he's a crazy hypocrite. Like, you can't say that and then put it like fucking move, dude. But yeah, this is why people are leaving California and all this stuff. It's just this stuff
and
keeps happening. They're just
Illinois,
like, what
New
is going
York,
on, man?
and I'm sorry, but there is a connotation to this. This is all happening in deep blue Democrat states and Democrat cities. That you've got to start putting the dots together, people. Okay,
You need to be like in a detective room. And you need to put pictures. And you need to connect with strings, and these strings go to
Yes,
here and there and there. And you need to
there
do all the
is
math.
there is a
Ruin your lives.
connection. There is a connection between democratic policies and this. Okay, I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for, but if you're against this, I ask
We
you
should
to
also say it's not just okay. We have to be fair as well. There are good Democrats that don't like this shit either.
of
Okay,
course. But
those voices have been completely
drowned out.
Drowned out.
Absolutely, they've been completely drowned out. And I'm trying to say this to like generational Democrats, as my American family is and was. You know, this is no longer the trusted brand of FDR, JFK, center left classical liberals. The,
Liberals are far right now.
yes, these are hardcore.
It's crazy.
These are hardcore cultural Marxists, and they run the Democratic Party.
Have infiltrated every major institution.
Yes, they have.
They have infiltrated.
And
they're in power in entertainment. They're in power in media. They're in power in government right now.
Especially
they're
education.
And they're in power in education now.
Yes.
And it started in universities, and now it's trickling down because guess what? All the university professors have trained these now teachers who are now teaching your kids. It's freaking everywhere. It's honestly, I think Jordan Peterson said, put your kids in trade schools. If you ever listen to the show Dirty Job by Mike Rowe, literally, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in some of these jobs. Like, my friend sells Caterpillar equipment. For some of the Caterpillar equipment, you can make $100,000 to $150,000 a year running some of these machines because they're so expensive machines. You need somebody with technical skills to know how to operate them because there aren't many. Yeah, it's actually a good living, particularly for some of these kids who may not excel super well in math or reading. They can still serve traditional academia. They can still serve a good use to society by being this person and make a good living and raise a good family and do all this stuff. They don't have to be a bloody lawyer. All these goddamn shows too about you got to be an attorney, a doctor, stuff. Like no, you don't. There actually is a problem where there's too many people going to these schools and there aren't enough jobs. And guess what? The best law firms and all these law firms, they only take like the top % from the top schools. You have to be a bloody genius to even get a job in in that way like you see portrayed on television. So it's like ridiculous. Let's have some shows where there's a funny plumber.
Yeah.
And like he makes a lot of money and has a great
Or a hilarious
wholesome
electrician.
content.
Yeah.
You can't have any of that because that's what we used to have. Granted, there were some problems back in the day also. We should not completely ignore. But now, in legitimately a way more inclusive society that we do live in America. You can't. People keep saying, "Oh, it's not inclusive." It's like we're literally talking about trans stuff right now. Literally, we weren't. I didn't want to. I have no problem not ever having to talk about it. Let people live their lives if they want. But now we are literally talking about it. Versus another country. By the way, FYI, I've talked to enough people in around the world. They all are very concerned about what the fuck is going on
here. Yes.
It's going over there. People from the Middle East, people from Europe, people in Asia that I talk to, friends of mine, people I've met through friends, and some of this. People have literally asked me this. This video, this person, what's happening here is one major component of what people around the world are afraid of, that this type of stuff is going to start happening to them. And they're way more exclusive and you travel around the world, you see real racism, okay?
Yeah.
All right? I've been to Brazil, I've been to Europe, I've been to other parts of South America, Argentina, you want to talk about, okay? I have a lot of Argentinian friends, but I mean, there ain't black people in Argentina. You ever seen a black Argentinian? You haven't. They don't exist, and there's a reason. No hate on my Argentinian brothers. I love them very, very much. They're also really great people. Very loving, welcoming people. But you want to talk about putting up borders. Fuck. So anyway, I don't really have any more to say. I've said everything I need to say. I don't know if you have any final words in the spirit of Jerry Springer passing away. I don't know if we should have a last word. R.I.P. Jerry Springer.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
There you go. Let us know what you think. Please, let us know what you think. If you're a parent, we want to hear your story.
Yes.
If you're a teacher, we want to hear your story. We want to know what's going on, so let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon. We're talking about the times here.